So I had an interesting comment the other day that said, make a video about how to buy a house without a realtor. I thought I'd take the challenge on, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretend to not be an agent, and I'm going to just pick a random area, probably near me, because that's where I would be buying, somewhere familiar to me, and just go through the process of how it would be to buy without an agent. Okay, I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as possible. I'm gonna present any good things I see, any bad things I see as I go. Now, the first thing you have to do is find the house. Back in the olden days, the only way you could actually find a house is to go to an agent's office and have them pull out a binder, right? Or get access to the MLS somehow or the other. But the reality is nowadays the MLS feeds listings to Zillow, Realtor, and all these other websites. Is an agent necessary to find a house? Quite frankly, yeah, they aren't. You can find a house completely on your own using all these websites. And I'm using Zillow because that's the most popular one, so it doesn't have to be Zillow. But a lot of times, with a lot of clients, especially if they're tech savvy, might end up be the ones manually searching more than their actually agent because it's all available to you guys. So that's definitely a big pro and something you can definitely do as your own buyer. So anyways, let's see, let's pick out a city, Glendale, Arizona. I'm looking for a 4-bedroom, looking for 2 bathrooms. I'm selecting all these and I'm just gonna focus on houses. I am not looking for, well, we'll do HOA at least. No HOA, let's do no HOA. Because I want to be able to change my tires in my own damn yard. And let's do a price no more than $500,000. Here is a house, $430,000. What I like about Zillow is it gives you an idea of what the buyer's agency fee. So if you don't know what that means, basically means if you are going to this house and they're represented by an agent, they are going to get paid 2.5% of whatever house it sells for. Now, knowing this information is sweet because if you are buying your own house, you could use that. Because here's the thing, and what they don't tell you is when these listing agreements are made, a lot of them are established saying, you're going to pay me, the listing agent, let's pretend you're the seller. You're going to pay me, Javier, whatever percentage to sell your house. And we're going to agree on another separate percentage, whatever you want to agree on, to pay the buyer's agent. A lot of people like to be like, I'm going to go buy a house without a realtor. Can't tell, I'm moving my hips right now. Knock on the door or whatever, and the listing agent works with them, right? And they go, okay, I'll help you. Where do you think that percentage is going to go to if you don't have an agent? That's right. It goes to the listing agent. That becomes a dual closing or a double commish. I don't know what's the term. The realtors. I'm sure there's some term. I've never done it myself, so I don't know what to call it. Double-ended deal, right? I thought about something else, which I don't know. You shouldn't be thinking about that either. Stop it. You can see what potentially the listing agent's going to make in addition to that. So your goal should be to have that whatever the seller's going to save in paying another buyer go to you. But here's the problem with that. The listing agreement is already written. It's already specified, and it's very clearly written to say the buyer's agent gets that percentage. And if you come in unrepresented, you're not really unrepresented. The listing agent is going to double represent both the buyer and seller. So just keep that in mind. So I would say that's actually already off the bat a con, because you're not going to buy the house on your own without a realtor. There's still a realtor involved. They're just might have to represent you and the seller. Now, unless you find a for sale by owner, your goal should be to see if that percentage is getting reduced if you're going in and you understand the listing agent's going to represent you and you understand they're going to make a little bit more money. But you can say, listen, I know you're double ending this deal. If I go in this without a realtor and you represent me, what can you offer me separate from what the seller's going to give me? You could request a tour on any of these websites. You could go click on this one if you're on realtor.com, if you're on redfin.com. Actually, let's find this house on all those websites so you can kind of see. Here, I put it up on 3 other sites. So you could hit schedule tour. You could go on realtor.com, email the agent, or is there a scheduled tour option here? I don't think it is. Okay. Open door, start an offer, or take a tour. So what is that doing? Are you like, I'm buying without a realtor now? What do you know? What really is happening is, let's say you do it with Zillow, you're going to get paired with a Zillow agent to go show you the house. And now the Zillow agent is your buyer's agent. Or the Redfin, you schedule it, and a Redfin agent's going to go take you. Or Open Door, yes, you're right, an Open Door agent. Or if the website doesn't have their own agents, then they have at least some kind of partnership or sponsorship or certain zip codes to certain agents, et cetera, et cetera. So going this route or clicking on the website saying request a tour is not going to work. You're not going to be able to be unrepresented like you want to. You're just basically bringing in your own. And at that point, why not bring your own agent if you're going to be doing it that route? No. So instead, what you have to do is you have to contact the listing agent, because if it's for sale, you're gonna have to need a licensed agent to go in there. And I guess this is not really pros and cons, but just something to consider. I guess it would be a con. It's really difficult to not buy with an agent, because in order to see it, you have to go with someone licensed. Now, if you don't want your own agent to go show it to you, then the listing agent has to go. And that's why I talked to you about the whole percentage thing right up front, because you're going to have that conversation before they even show you the house. At least in Arizona, this is it. I'm pretty sure most states, so please double check this. But here in Arizona, there's something called procuring cause. If you're the first agent to show a property to a person, you are now entitled to whatever commission that person makes. So if then they bring in their cousin Edgar to show them the house and they buy it, well, you showed it to them first. You were the procuring cause. You're the one that showed them the house. You demonstrated to them, and they have to prove that you weren't. Then you're entitled to that commission, and you can sue. I don't know if you remember if you sue the seller or the buyer or the buyer's agent. I don't remember. So, anyways, you open up a whole can of worms there. Whoever shows you that house first is entitled to whatever percentage, and you cannot go on your own. So, there's two options here. If you truly want to do this on your own and be a super Chad, get the listing agent to show it to you, or get your real estate license yourself. It's not difficult. It's like 90, I think at least here, 90 hours. If you want to dedicate 2 to 3 months to get your license, take a test, pay a few $1,000s of fees and become your own agent, then you can do that if you want. And I mean, it's not going to, I guess it will be sort of cheap compared to having to pay an agent and you're making a little more money. But, if you have the time and energy, why not? So anyways, the best course of action in this case is to find who the listing agent is and contacting them. So in this case, they give you the info here. Don't call the numbers that they give you on the Zillow or Realtor Trulia. This is going to probably be a number that connects to them through Zillow's machine. So that way Zillow can track the amount of people that get sent. So whatever route you go, you go look at the house. And if you got the listing agent to help you at a discounted fee, odds are they might not necessarily be as friendly and walk you through the whole contract. So this is one thing that you can prepare yourself for. So first you have to find out who the Department of Real Estate is in your state. So in this case, I'm just looking up Arizona Department of Real Estate. Here it is. What I could do too is I can do a contract and see if it pops up, a purchase contract. My second link, let's see if I can find it. That's not it. This is just a random contract. Arizona Association of Realtors. There you go. It's labeled. Here's the contract. You can read over it and really understand it. Find another state. Let's just look up Texas Department of Real Estate contract. And I don't know how it looks like, but we can see if we can find it. So it looks like TREC is the name of the Real Estate Commission. So now that we know it's TREC, we're going to go TREC. Real estate purchase contract. 1 to 4 family residential. I think this might be it. Any agents in Texas or someone who's bought a house in Texas, can you verify? Is this it? A lot uglier, I would say. You guys have an ugly contract if that's the case. Anywho, you can find this. And of course, there might be addendums and amendments. But at that point, since you technically will have the listing agent represent you, you could ask them. You can ask them anything. Now, during the real estate process, you have to understand a general timeline of how it works. And if you haven't done it before, it could be pretty scary, especially if you have the listing agent might not really help you as much. So best thing to do here is really, you're going to have to kind of lean on the listing agent to help walk you through as much as possible. They are still obligated to, per the code of ethics, to fully help you and make sure. Now, the thing about dual agencies is they get really complicated because technically the brokerage now represents you and the seller. So it's like limited representation at that point, but they still have the obligation to make sure and educate you throughout the process. Leaning on the people that are around you that are going to be helping you. So you're going to have a title company or an escrow company. You might even need a real estate lawyer, depending on what state you're in. You're going to be working with a lender, perhaps. So you have all these other parties, leaning on them for support to kind of help you and guide you throughout the process. And then we are at the end. So the real benefit of working on your own without an agent is it boils down to really commission. So here's another one, right? 500,000, 2.5%. The real benefit, and I think the only benefit without working with an agent, is I guess that money's not going to them. But the problem is that money is just going to the listing agent, so who's helping the seller buy the house. And then at that point, you're going to get limited representation from them. So the only real benefit is if you can get or negotiate somehow a way to get some of those funds. The listing agent, let's say they're already going to make a certain percentage. And if you tell them, hey, I want to go look at the house. However, understand according to Zillow, you're making 2.5%. Are you and the seller going to do something to help me out? Right. It's a really weird conversation to have, but you could technically have it, and the listing agent could 100% tell you, hey, that doesn't, I can show you the house, but regarding my commission, it is what it is. That's what I get paid. It's coming from the seller's end. It has nothing to do with you. And at that point, you have the choice, because really you're negotiating with not your money. You're negotiating with the seller's money, which isn't even yours to negotiate with. But, if you don't mind, I totally get why there's a lot of people, don't like agents and they call them used car salesmen and all these things. But, at the end of the day, you have to understand that buying a house can be a complicated process. And there can be a few red flags that pop up. And you do see what the agent's making. You go, holy crap, like they make so much, why not? If I already told you the true benefit is getting some of those funds, and that's really important to you, isn't it better to try to find an agent to help represent you, so you don't have to have this song and dance every time you find a house you'd like, and they can just show you any house for sale? And if it is important to you to get whatever percentage or whatever funds that you were thinking you were going to get from the seller, why not just have that conversation with the agent up front and say, this is what I'm looking to get? And we'll see if they're willing to help do something, right? Now, once again, it's their right and their option to say, no, thanks, I'm not going to work with you. But I'm sure you can find someone desperate enough to say yes. And then at that point, now you get what you want and you don't have to worry about that. But really think about, at the end of the day, you have the power to negotiate regardless if there's an agent or not an agent. Like, I don't know what point you're trying to prove by saying I did it on my own. I did it my way, but really no, the listing agent half represented you and actually made that money that they were going to give to another agent. Why not find someone you like, that you genuinely want to work with, have them actually be a solid person and guide you through the process? I can see the argument if you live in a state where there's I think lawyers involved, and lawyers do most of the quote unquote work. I can see how that might work or not work in your favor, but just try to be aware that commission is going somewhere. Try to get some of it. Okay. It's the same argument I have with builders. If you're going to go to a builder without an agent, at least hopefully get some of that money that they were going to pay the agent to you, and not just have them pocket it to make more money. Cool. I think it's a terrible video to promote my agent referral service, so I'm not. If you're looking to be part of the Home Buyers Guild, where basically you get access to ask me questions and I get all of my resources. Even if you have an agent or don't have an agent, you have a bunch of resources to help you figure out your home buying goals. Patreon links in the description. Thank you guys so much. Looking forward to this beautiful comment section below.